Okay, today in regular chemistry, we're going to talk about binary ionic compounds involving transition metals and those under the stair step. So just a quick refresher, we're talking about these elements here and under the stair step, except the other day we talked about zinc always has a 2+, cadmium always has a 2+, silver always has a 1+, and then aluminum is 3+. So we won't include those in the discussion for today, but we're talking about these here and then these. Okay, most transition elements can form two or more positively charged ions. So once again, positively charged means that they have lost electrons. When naming a compound that contains a transition element, the charge of the transition element is indicated by a Roman numeral placed in parentheses after the transition metal's name. Once again, with the exception of silver, zinc, and cadmium, because they have only one possible charge, so you would not give them a Roman numeral. So, for instance, if we had determined iron has a 2+ charge, then when you write its name, you would write iron and then Roman numeral 2 in parentheses. If you had determined that iron, the particular iron you were talking about, had a 3+ charge, then you would write that as iron, Roman numeral 3 in parentheses. Okay, so we're going to write the formula and give the name for the compound formed between Cr3+ and F-, or fluorine. So you know fluorine, if you'll remember, this family here always has a minus charge. Oxygen's family has a 2-, and then nitrogen's family has a 3-. So you have Cr3+ and F-. You look at your charges, they do not equal 0, so we use the crisscross method. So we put a 1 down here and a 3 down here, so your formula would be CrF3. You would name that chromium, Roman numeral 3 in parentheses, fluoride. Your negative is always going to end in "ide." Okay, Cu2+ and Br. So put me on pause for a minute and then you work the next two. Okay, so you have Cu2+, Br is a minus, it's a 7A. So you crisscross to balance your charges. As your formula would be CuBr2, and you would name that copper. Didn't leave much room here. Copper, Roman numeral 2 in parentheses, bromide. For Fe2+ and oxygen, Fe is a 2+ here, oxygen is a 2-. They equal 0, so you don't need to crisscross, so your formula would simply be FeO, and you would name that iron, Roman numeral 2, oxide. You still have to give it a Roman numeral because iron can have a 2 or 3. Okay, so put this on pause for a moment, and then you try to name the following, and then we'll go over them. All right, so our first one is CuO. So the first thing you need to do is determine if it is ionic or molecular. It's an ionic compound because copper is a metal. And so then you determine, does copper live in this area of this middle area on the stair step? And it does. And so that means we're going to give it a Roman numeral. So we're going to have to look at oxygen. We know oxygen's charge every time oxygen is a 2-. So this side has to be a 2+. You only have one copper. So this one is copper, Roman numeral 2 in parentheses, oxide. Okay, next, once again, copper lives in that area in the middle. So we're going to look at sulfur. Sulfur is always a 2-. We only have one sulfur. And so this side's a 2-, so this side has to be a 2+. We have two coppers, so they each have to be a +1 to give you that 2+. So you would name this copper, Roman numeral 1 in parentheses, sulfide. You still have to show the Roman numeral 1 because copper can have a 1 or a 2. Fe2S, so once again, iron lives in this area right here, so we have to give it a Roman numeral when we name it. So we're going to look at sulfur. Sulfur is a 2-. And you only have one sulfur, so this side is a 2+. You have two irons, that makes them each a 1 to give you 2. So 2 times plus 1 is plus 2. So you would name this iron, Roman numeral 1, sulfide. Okay, next up, FeS. Sulfur has a 2 minus. Therefore, iron has to have a 2 plus. You only have 1 iron, so you would name this guy iron, Roman numeral 2 in parentheses, sulfide. Okay, COF3, so cobalt is here, so we have to give it a Roman numeral, so we're going to look at our F's. Remember, F is in 7a, so it's always a -1. So F is a -1, but you have 3 F's. So 3 times -1 is 3 minus. So the other side has to be 3 plus. So cobalt, Roman numeral 3 in parentheses, fluoride. AgCl, if you'll recall, silver has only 1 possible charge, so you do not give it a Roman numeral. So you would simply call this one silver chloride. And our last one, SnI4. Sn is beneath the stair step here, so we have to determine its charge and give it a Roman numeral. So we're going to look at iodine. Iodine's a halogen, so they're always a -1. You have 4, so that makes this a 4 minus, so this sign has to be a 4 plus. So you would name this 10, Roman numeral 4, IV in parentheses, iodide. Okay, so that takes us through transition metals, using them when you write formulas. And so now you are going to do homework set 2. Thank you.